Alright, so we're in the final section, the third one of the test review, and we're going to get into the two-step equations. So let's go ahead and write one up there to start out with. Okay, so our first two-step equation is going to be negative 2x plus 6 equals a negative 8. Okay, so again, the only thing additional that we're doing here is instead of one step, we have to do two steps now. So let's go ahead and divide our equation up here. So we're looking at our left hand and right hand side. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. Now on this one, we're trying to get x by itself. And on the same side as x, we've got the 6 over here that we need to get rid of. So that's a plus 6, so the opposite is to minus 6. Okay, we're going to do that on both sides. And go ahead and draw our line. Okay, now the minus or the plus 6 and the minus 6 cancel out, and what that's going to leave us with now is just a negative 2x on this side. Okay, and then we have a negative 8 and a positive 6, or sorry, negative 6, and so we're looking at a negative 14. So we can add those together because they're both negative. Okay, so now we've kind of reduced it down. Now we're kind of at just a one-step equation again. So again, we've got to get the x by itself, and so there's a negative 2 times x up there. So the opposite of times is to divide, and we're going to divide by a negative 2 that time. So we're going to divide this one also by a negative 2. Okay, so again, on the left-hand side, the multiplication and division on this one cancel each other out, and that leaves us with just x. Okay, and then we have a negative 14 divided by a negative 2, and dividing two negatives gives you a positive, and it happens to be 7. So we're going to say that x equals 7. Alright, so let's run this two-step equation through our verification process. Our original problem was a negative 2x plus 6 equals a negative 8. Okay, so let's go ahead and put that in there. So negative 2 times x, and we said x was 7. Okay, and then plus 6 equals negative 8. And a negative 2 times 7 gives you a negative 14. And then the plus 6 equals negative 8. And a negative 14 and a positive 6 is indeed a negative 8. Okay, so this verification checks out, and we know that x really does equal 7 as your solution. Okay, so that's the first kind. Let's move that up and get right into the second one. Alright, for the second problem, we're going to do a little bit of the distributive property. So we have a negative 4 multiplied by m plus 3 and equals 24. Alright, so again, let's go ahead and put our red line in there. So kind of breaks up our problem between the right and the left hand side and reminds us when we need to do something on both sides. Now with this one, however, we do need to do the distributive property first, so that's a 4 times the m and the 3. So a negative 4 times m will give us a negative 4m. Okay. And then a negative 4 times 3 is a negative 12. Okay, and that was a plus in the middle, so we keep that as a plus. Okay, and that's going to equal 24. Okay, so now that we've done the distributive property part of it, all we need to do is go ahead and run through the two-step equation process. And what I'm going to do up here, and you'll notice that right here, that's a plus a negative 12, or you can view it as minus 12. And so in this case, you can view it as a minus 12. So as we look at it, let's go ahead and isolate m. So we are going to add 12 to this side. And again, because that's a minus 12, the opposite of a negative is a positive, so positive as an addition in this case. So we're going to add 12 to this side also. Okay, and these now are going to cancel out, and that leaves you just with a negative 4m. Okay, And if we add those up, we get 36. Okay, so they're both positive. Okay, so now we're down to a one-step equation, and it's a -4 times m. So the opposite would be to divide, and again by a -4. Okay, do it to both sides. And this -4 and this -4 cancel out now, and we're just left with m on this side. Okay, and at this point we have 36 divided by 4, so that should give us, what, 9? Okay, and that's a -9 because of positive 36 and a -4, so -9. Okay, so let's go ahead and run that through a verification process. So essentially what we've got, the original problem is a -4 times m plus 3 equals 24. So we'll copy that down, and this time for m we're going to put in -9. Okay. Plus 3 equals 24. And we're just going to go through there and solve that. So first of all, we've got to do what's inside the parentheses, so I'm just going to copy the -4 down. And we have a -9 plus 3, so now we're at a -6. Okay. And the last part, negative times a negative is a positive, and so 4 times 6 is 24. So equals 24. Okay, so we've done our verification process, and we know that m equals -9. Okay, so let's get into one more, and we did this yesterday a little bit, so remember that this kind of problem will also be on the test, and that's where we get into our one-step or two-step equations, but we're going to go ahead and, in this case, show you some like terms. So we have 3x plus 5, and then we're going to add another 2x, and we're going to equal that to 20. Okay, so first of all, there's no distributive property in there. We just have to find the like terms. So let's underline the variables in red. Okay, so we've got two variables, and in blue we have a constant right here, and that's all the ones on the left side, so that's what we're going to go ahead and consolidate a little bit. So the first thing is 3x and then 2x. That gives us 5x. Okay, and then we just have that plus 5. Okay. Okay, equals -20. So all I did was really combine the like terms. In this case, we only had the two x's on the left-hand side. So now we're back to what would be a two-step equation. So again, we're going to go ahead and let's divide that equation so we know the left and right side. Okay, and the x is on the left-hand side, so we want to get rid of all the stuff that's around the x. So this is plus 5, so we're just going to minus 5 on both sides. Okay, draw our line, and these end up canceling out, so we're left with only 5x on this side, and that equals, and then here we have 20 minus 5, so 15. Okay, now we're down to a one-step equation, and that's 5 times x, so the opposite of times is to divide. Okay, and these two cancel out, so now we just have x, and that's equal 15 divided by 5, so we have a positive 3. Okay, let's run it through the verification process, and let me move this problem up a little bit for you. Actually, that's about far enough. Okay, so once we consolidated this problem, it was actually 5x plus 5 equals 20, and now for x, I'm going to put in what we said it was, and we said it was 3, so 5 times 3 plus 5 equals 20. And so 5 times 3 is 15, plus 5 equals 20. And finally, 15 plus 5 is 20 equals 20. Okay, so our verification checks out, and we know that our solution of x equals 3 is correct. Okay, And that kind of brings us right to the end here. So I'm going to put, again, one of your star problems up here for you to work on. It's a negative 3x minus 5, okay, equals 4. Okay, so that'll be the problem, kind of going over some of the stuff we covered in this section. Alright, so those 3 sections will cover what you'll see on the test tomorrow. Remember that there is one story problem test, and I'll go over some of those story problems with you, so it would be kind of like the one that you saw on the last assignment. Okay, go ahead and go through with these. Remember that all of these notes are on the Google Classroom, so you can go there and look at what section you want to go over if you want to review anything. And if you feel pretty confident with everything that's on the review, you should do really well on the test. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow for the test.